Rachel the Rogue was a light sleeper. The party had just gone and dealt with the cult of howling hatred after dealing with the cult of the eternal flame. And they had disrupted two of the temples in the complex underneath the Somber Hills. We're back in Red Larch, sleeping off a lot of injuries sustained in the battles earlier. Suddenly, in the pre-dawn, there was a commotion outside. And they heard, "Hey, hey, what are you doing? Stop that!" Rachel the Rogue hurriedly shook awake her companions. They slipped outside and they saw a ring of people in strange robes. One, looking something like a priest, standing, holding aloft a object like a crystal ball that was scintillating with colors and chanting. The others kneeling in a circle around, looking up at the thing as though it were some sort of holy relic. The chanting person saw the motion, lowered his eyes to Rachel the Rogue and her companions, and then smiled and continued chanting until it exploded. All right. Hey, everybody. DM Galabond here, and this is Lore Friday for November 5th, 2020. And today we're going to be talking about the adventure Reckless Hate out of the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. Reckless Hate is designed for an 8th level party, and it is designed to slot into the campaign in between the time you have destroyed the second temple in the underground temple complex and before you go and destroy the third temple. Now, this is making a whole lot of presumptions. And let me go ahead and navigate us over to the actual text of this here. And we will take a look at this. Okay. Reckless Hate. When the party defeats a second temple, elemental evil temple, the offended cult strikes back. They learn which settlement the characters are using as a base and send a small force of the Devastation Orb to ravage the settlement, preferably with the characters in it. Okay, now, all right, so that's they can find out where you're from. It doesn't necessarily mean that the characters go back there, but they will always go and attack a civilian target. They won't take the fight directly to the characters. If they can catch the characters in that settlement, so much the better. But this really is kind of like a suicide bomb mission. So it's really something sort of ripped out of the headlines from the last couple of decades. For anybody who's followed asymmetric conflicts around the world, uh, where you have governments on one side and radical groups on the other side that will take extreme measures, including suicide bombing. That's kind of what you have here. That's sort of what your elemental evil cultists are. Is they're just a bunch of wackos. So the characters may camp outside of town. This encounter occurs when the characters spot a cultist group traveling to a settlement they intend to attack, and so uh, they can spot the group, and then the same thing will happen. So once they figure out that they have the characters there, they will pull this devastation orb out of its chest that keeps it in stasis. And as we saw before in looking at the devastation orb, the thing will go off in just a few rounds after it is taken out of its protective chest. So depending on which cult is um, offended by their second incursion into the underground temples, it could be the air cult, which will have a howling hatred priest, a hurricane, and 8 initiates. The Black Earth cult will have a Black Earth priest, 2 Black Earth guards, 4 Sacred Stone monks. The Eternal Flame cult will have an Eternal Flame priest, Eternal Flame guardian, 3 Eternal Flame guardians, and 1 Flame Wrath with an Orb of Fire. And the Crushing Wave cult will have a Crushing Wave priest, 6 Crushing Wave reavers armed with the Devastation Orb of Water. And those things explode and deal a lot of immediate damage right in the area, but then also go ahead and cause damage for up to an hour. Or I think actually in one case it's up to 24 hours within a 1 mile radius area. So it can be pretty bad. And in fact, with some of the lower level creatures might even be killed by setting off their own devastation orb, but they are hoping that it will also damage or injure or kill the party, or at least get them to soften them up enough that the surviving members of the cult can then go in and kill them. So that is their plan. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is that this is a way that the cult will try to, uh, in the logic of cults, logic of, you know, idiots like these people, it will try to turn the people of the settlements against the party, making them think, well, because you're using this as a base, it's your fault that they went and attacked here. Okay. Now, there's always going to be some people. Just like there are some people that will fall for any sort of conspiracy theory and that will believe any kind of outrageous thing that a somebody tells them from a stump speech or a pulpit or whatever. People will believe a lot of stuff just because someone is supposed to be in authority, regardless of how wacko that person is. And so you can play this up as a DM by having, deciding either at random or just saying there's going to be a range and figure out what that range is of people that will sort of blame the party for the fact that their town was attacked. And uh, you might set this as something. I kind of was giving away something at the beginning here. I would have them attack a settlement regardless of whether the party is there or not. If the party has made friends in, let's say, Red Larch, then go ahead and have them go to Red Larch and attack Red Larch. Now, they may kill a few townspeople, and the party may not find out about it until they finish dealing with the 4 temples and then take all of their stuff back to Red Larch to try to sell it. Because, depending on how they try to handle this, I could see players in my games, going into one of the temples, clearing it out, loading all the stuff up, taking it back to town, selling it all, buying more supplies, going back out and attacking the second one. I could also see them clearing out one of the temples, finding a safe a place within that temple to store all the loot they got, then just continue going to the next temple, clear it out, store the loot, Go to the next temple, clear it out, store the loot. Go to the last temple, clear it out, and then go back and take all the loot and try to figure out how they're going to get it back to town. Um, I could see players in my campaigns doing it that way. So they may not ever come out. So I think having them attack a target that is related to the characters but is not the characters then gives you as a DM a little bit more um, tangent stories that you can play with. So maybe they have a somebody that in the party has sending, and somebody that they've met in the town has sending, and then they get a message. Hey, um, somebody just blew up this thing that did a whole bunch of fire damage in town. Do you have any idea what's going on? Oh crap! Well, we just took out the fire temple. Hmm. Wonder if that could be related. And then maybe what you would do is get your PCs to leave the temple and go chasing off after this group trying to find it. And those people may all be dead, or they may just be scattered to the winds and waste a bunch of time. Then when they finally go back, oh, they find that there are more cultists back down in these temples and they're better guarded. So you could play with that a lot of different ways. I would definitely try to do something that would be away from the temples, and that if there's any way for the players to find out about it, would either draw them out or delay them going back to the temples. But that's just me, and the way I would do that. Now, of course, this devastation orb, kind of a little, you know, these are these are little bombs. We've talked about them before, but it maybe is okay going through and talking about it again. Um, and then the yeah, so if you put it into the stasis container, it will do its countdown. But if the countdown reaches 0, it will uh, it will go ahead and it will explode if it's outside this container. If it's inside the container, it will just stay, stay put. And then when you take it out of the container, it will delay for 1d6 rounds before it blows up. And the air orb creates a windstorm that lasts for an hour. Earth orb causes an earthquake for a minute. Fire orb creates dry heat for 24 hours that will actually catch things on fire. And a water orb will cause a rainstorm for 24 hours. Or torrential rainstorm for 24 hours that will cause localized flooding. So the the devastation orb is kind of the neatest thing about this particular adventure, and it also is kind of a cool way of thinking about, well, how could you create in a homebrew campaign, how could you create other devices that maybe use other kinds of energy. So instead of air, earth, fire, water, maybe something that would deal acid energy that would have something like this, force energy, radiant energy, necrotic energy, some kind of thing. So you could then have other cults dedicated to other types of powers that could come along and have something similar to these devastation orbs. And then the reason it's tuned for level 8 characters is just because of the CR of all of the enemies arrayed against the party with the devastation orb. Now, I think in the case of some of these things, like some of these things might uh, actually take significant damage from the devastation orb going off itself. So it might wind up, if they are closer to it than the party is, and right in the blast radius, it may actually be an easier fight for the party. But the point is, if you do it in a town, it's probably going to cause significant damage to the town. Um, catch structures on fire, cause flooding in the town, maybe knock buildings down with an earthquake, maybe topple trees with hurricane force winds, something like that. All right. Well, this is Lore Friday. I have been DM Galabond. If you like everything that we're doing here on the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click that post notification bell so that you too can be notified every time new content drops on the channel. In the description down below, you can find all the social media platforms that I'm on, and also how to follow the actual play games that I run on my Twitch channel. All right, everyone. Take care, everybody. Hope that you have a wonderful day. Good night.